Trying to move his mark to 9-0. He faces Pittsburgh-based Alphonso Williams. And there is Williams, 32 years old. Gives up a lot of height to Pryor. He goes 5'8". That's 8 inches shorter than the lanky Pryor. Williams is 10-3. And the story of his career, long layoffs. Turned pro in '98, didn't fight for 5 more years. Then fought in '04 before he missed all of '05 and 2006. Aaron Pryor Jr., born 2 years before his father would win the junior welterweight world title. Got a late start to the fight game, later than you would expect for being the son of a great. He was 20 years old. He's now 29, 8-0 with 6 knockouts. Personal demons took down his father, and Jr. himself said recently that he had to get some things together and step away from his career. So this is his first fight since December of '06. His dad's career wrapped up in 1990. This is some footage of his second to last fight. It was against Daryl Jones. Of course, 8 years before that, he engaged with the wars with Alexis Arguello. Pryor won both, stamping himself as a Hall of Famer. Now here's the son.
I try to be myself. My father, you know, he was a great champion, like one of the greatest fighters ever to be in the sport. And it can never be another Aaron Pryor. All I can do is be Aaron Pryor Jr. I can never be him. I can just to be me. I try not to let that pressure bother me, even though some of that is there. You know, I try to just be me and do what I do.
Scheduled 8-rounder. Dick Flaherty is the referee.
Okay, gentlemen, we had the instructions in the dressing room. I expect a good, clean, professional fight. I want you to obey my commands and listen to me when I talk to you. We're going 8 rounds. Okay, guys? Coach, I want you to rub your hand over his face a little bit here. Go ahead. Okay, this is a little bit high here. That's okay. That's okay. All right, good luck, guys. Touch him up.
Boy, look at the height difference there. Teddy, it's got to play a role in the Just for Men hair color stay in the fight analysis.
Well, guess what? It does. For Pryor, use that long jab and set up some work downstairs to the body where Williams has been hurt before. Matter of fact, that's his knockout loss. And for Williams, come out active or busy and take advantage of Pryor being away 15 months.
So Aaron Pryor Jr. in the Kronk clothes
Let him out. Let him out.
of the red and gold, taking on Alphonso Williams in the black. He's been with Manny Stewart for the past 2 years. He's gotten top-level work with many of the top pros. In fact, Manny told me a funny story. Got caught with a right hand there and now goes straight back against the hard-charging Alphonso Williams.
Well, when you're tall, like Pryor, but you don't know how to fight tall, you don't have the experience, it can be a detriment, not an advantage, because there's a lot of target when the shorter man gets close to you. And right now, there's a lot of target to catch Pryor.
He's just trying to wrap up and hold on, and he finally does so with the left hand, but clearly Aaron Pryor Jr. hurt and affected here in the early goings of round number 1.
You know, Pryor has been in very soft in his career, and he struggled with one of those opponents when he won a split 6-round decision with a 7-7-2 opponent. So this is a little bit of a step up for Pryor. Not a huge one, but definitely a step.
Now a right hand comes in from Jr.
There's going to be plenty of opportunities for right hands, plenty of them. Because you can see Williams has a flaw in his makeup. He lays his head on the right side, Joe, and there's distance. And when you lay your head on the right side and there's distance, you're in the lane, the power lane of that right hand.
So interesting first half of this first round as Aaron Pryor Jr. finally settles down after being stunned early on by Alphonso Williams. Now behind that long jab. Oh, he comes in and gets hit by another right hand.
Well, he's being allowed to come in because there's no snapping jab from the taller Pryor. So Williams coming in that front door. There's a snapping jab.
Connects from long range, and it's Williams who is momentarily stunned.
Well, Williams turned pro. He won that fight, then he took off 5 years, and then 3 fights ago was off 2 years and 8 months, Joe. Most of the fights for Williams have been in West Virginia, a state where you can build up a record a little bit.
Williams was in trouble with the law, served his time, was away from the game. A lot of action here in round number 1.
Williams is going to eat right hands until he corrects that mistake of laying his head on the right. He should put his head on the left side, outside the right hand.
Williams and Pryor, very entertaining opening round here on Friday Night Fights. So glad you're with us here. Joe Tessitore and Teddy Atlas ringside. Andy Lee coming up in our main event. This is a guy, Teddy, that receives a lot of hype. Manny Stewart is saying he's going to be one of the all-time greats. What do you need to see tonight to tell you he's on that course?
Well, not Emmanuel Stewart, because he says everyone's going to be an all-time great. And all respect to Emmanuel that he's had, you know, obviously a lot of real good fighters and tremendous champions. But I don't know if Andy Lee's going to be an all-time great, but I think he has a good chance of being a world champion, a middleweight champ of the world. And why? I'll tell you why. Because he's a guy who we talk about styles make fights, but in his case, styles make the fighter. He's got that southpaw style, long arms, difficult to deal with. And that guy, Vera, is going to have a lot of trouble dealing with the tall Lee. Vera's a wide-open guy, a guy who walks in, a guy who, like the old-timers would say, you can't miss him. And I think he's made to order for Lee to show his goods and to show that right hook that southpaws like to use.
The unbeaten Andy Lee, 15-0, taking on Brian Vera. That's coming up in our main event. Now round number 2 between Alphonso Williams and the 8-0 Aaron Pryor Jr. In that first round, Williams landed 11 headshots. Pryor was 25 of 61 overall, but both men were staggered and stunned during that first round. And now here comes Williams straight through that front door again against Pryor Jr.
Williams, as we talked about after his second pro fight, he took off for 5 years. He went away as a welterweight, came back as a junior middleweight. Pryor has been much bigger. I don't mean just height-wise, but weight-wise. He's fought between middleweight and super middleweight his entire career, Joe. Williams, junior middleweight, most of his career.
6'4" Aaron Pryor Jr. Manny Stewart said to me when his father told him, hey, pick him up at the airport, I want you to train him. He went looking for him. Said a basketball player came by and he just kept walking by. He thought, boy, I can't be Aaron Pryor's son. 8-inch height differential between these two. There's that long right hand.
Again, you look at the height of a fighter like Pryor, but what the opponent should look at is that lean, long body of Pryor. A lot of body to hit and a thin body to attack.
Let's look at the punch track body punches and see how Williams has been doing with that regard.
I actually said in the opening with the tips for this fight that you might want to, if you're Pryor, go down and test the body of Williams. Williams was knocked out by a body shot.
Three-punch combination from Pryor.
Again, you can't miss Williams. He just begs you to hit him with right hands. You can't miss him with right hands. He lays his head on the wrong side, the right side instead of the left side.
That was a prime example of it moments ago as Pryor landed that sharp right hand with Williams putting his head on his right side. So coming to the end of round number 2. Our opening fight, Williams and Pryor Jr. on Friday Night Fights.
Williams is eating right hands. You shouldn't lay your head on this side. It should be over here outside this punch. But when it's on this side, look what happens. The right hands, they score.
Round 3 scheduled for 8. 6'4" Aaron Pryor Jr., the son of the all-time great, the Hall of Famer. Said he learned how to be dedicated, how to have hard work ethic from his dad. He's a stablemate of Andy Lee, the red-hot, unbeaten prospect who you will see in our main event. 52 of Pryor's 55 connects, according to Punch Track, have been headshots.
We talked about Williams having most of his fights in West Virginia, where he can get soft opposition to a certain extent. The one time that Williams stepped up to better opposition represents the KO loss on his record.
Long striding jab from Pryor. There's a right hand behind it. That sends Williams back. His feet almost lost from underneath him. They're the total headshots so far. As we're at the halfway point of this third round, you see Pryor a 64-13 advantage, although the fight did open up with Williams landing a solid headshot that affected Pryor Jr. That was a right hand. Just missing with that downward driving right hand was Jr.
I spoke earlier about Pryor having been in soft throughout his career so far. His last 5 opponents, their combined records, 13 wins, 15 losses, 2 draws. Right now, Pryor doing a good job of keeping range, but not creating offense with that range, and therefore allowing Williams to walk in.
Just saw Dick Flaherty give a warning to Alphonso Williams to watch your head, but when you're 5'8", facing a 6'4" guy, you get into the inside, that top of the head can do a lot of damage right to the chin of your opponent.
And right now, Williams turning southpaw, trying to pull a little trick out of the box, confuse Pryor.
And he switches back orthodox for a moment, see if he goes back to the southpaw stance.
You see the greenness of Pryor. Didn't have a big amateur background, only 30 amateur fights. And you can see every once in a while when he throws his punches, his feet fall in. And when they fall in, he gives up that height.
Played high school and college basketball and then turned to boxing at age 20. End of 3 here at Mohegan Sun. Pittsburgh-based Alphonso Williams taking on 6'4" Aaron Pryor Jr., the 29-year-old who's trying to grow into his career. He's 8-0 with 6 knockouts. Very green, the son of the Hall of Famer and former champ, the Hawk. And Teddy's scorecard has it 2-1 for Pryor Jr. It's interesting, some Aaron Pryor fans here ringside when Pryor Jr. came out screaming, "What time is it? Hawk time." Memories of some of those classic battles of the 80s.
Again, Williams a sucker for right hands. The one thing Williams does not have to worry about is right hands when he gets close. Pryor with those long arms is negated on the inside. He has no room to punch. See, it's out here on the way in, right there, that Williams faces danger. Once he's in close, those long arms of Pryor are useless. If somebody would just show Williams that when you slip to your right side like that, instead of laying there, bend your knees and weave back and finish on the left, where you'd be outside the danger of that right hand that Pryor has tagged him with many times tonight. The people in charge of Williams in the corner, Tom Yankello and Barry Edmonds.
You get a Pittsburgh fighter fighting on national TV, and there's a pretty good chance Tommy Yankello is going to be in that corner. He has really been spearheading the recent years of Pittsburgh pro fighters. Of course, he had Paul Spadafora and Monty Mezzaclay, who we recently saw in a very spirited effort.
And of course, in the corner of Aaron Pryor, Hall of Fame trainer Emanuel Stewart, Javon Hill, and former world champion, 2-time world champion, lightweight champion Joey Damage.
And he's going to have himself a busy night, as is the entire Kronk contingency as Andy Lee is coming up in our main event. Oh, he turned around there as he was chased down with that two-punch combination.
It's not like Williams has not been able to get close to the taller Pryor. The problem is when he gets close, he doesn't do enough of that. Now he is moving those hands instead of allowing himself to be tied up.
And a 4. Back at Mohegan, son. Teddy, your wife Elaine has been a big part of our family here on Friday Night Fights for many years, as strong and supportive a part of this crew as anyone has. And on behalf of everybody on our crew, I want to send along our deepest sympathies to you, Elaine, the entire family. The passing of her father, Dominic Touche, this week. We're all very saddened by that news.
I appreciate it. We're going to miss my father-in-law, Elaine's father. He came over here in 1962 from Albania, from a communist country, and he really appreciated this country, loved his country very much, worked very hard to support and to raise 8 children. And Dominic's going to be missed. Thank you for remembering him.
Round 5 here, scheduled for 8 between Williams and Pryor. Perhaps a much more competitive fight than many would have thought. Although, Teddy, you've documented the growth of Pryor and how there have been some limitations and some bumps in the road, and he came to the sport late.
Right, all right, let him out. All right, stay there. Come on now, don't be throwing him. Let's go.
Teddy's scorecard through 4, all even right now, 2 rounds apiece. Good, strong, stiff jab from Williams. Oh, Williams, a little shake and bake. Oh, visions of Emmanuel Augustus here. And he turns squared up and shows that confidence to Pryor.
Well, confidence might be the key word. If Williams can start getting inside where he can do some work and also get it into the late rounds where he can have confidence, and Pryor has nowhere to put his feet. Pryor's never been past 6 rounds. Williams has been 10 rounds one time. So if he can get it into the deep late rounds, that confidence can really grow for Williams.
Alphonso Williams in the black trunks. He grew up with the struggles of a very hardened life. Both parents, he says, were drug addicts. He lost his father at age 10, started boxing at 13 as a refuge. Turns his back on Pryor, who comes in and just places a right hand to the arm, but the crowd now reacting as Williams looks to gather some momentum here. He did score an upset TKO last August against Philly prospect Derek Ennis.
Again, Pryor doing a good job of staying on the outside where the taller, longer man would want to be, but not doing a good job at all of controlling that outside with offense, allowing Williams to close the gap too often. There's that right hand again, throwing Williams off balance.
Pryor patiently coming forward, not utilizing that jab with all that height. There's that right hand driving down again as we come to the end of this 5th round on Friday Night Fights. PK here in Connecticut at Mohegan Sun.
Come on, Al, do it. You got me? Come on now, let's go.
Take a look right here of why Williams keeps eating right hands. He lays his head on the wrong side, and the right hand is there all night for Pryor.
Round 6, our night of unbeatens here. Aaron Pryor is 8-0. We're going to see Matt Remillard at 12-0. Andy Lee 15-0. And of course, another hot prospect is Anthony Peterson, our studio guest tonight. Anthony, let's talk about the mentality of being an undefeated prospect and the confidence that goes along with it. How does that play a factor in these early growth periods of one's career?
You know, it play a big role because you know, first time under the lights, you're young, and it's the beginning of your career, and you want everything to go good for you. So there's a lot of things going through your head.
Hey, Anthony, how come you're in the studio and your brother's not there? What's he got to say about this?
Oh, he's cool with it. He better be. That's my big brother. Little brother come first. You know what I mean? He'll get his time later.
You always give the most honest scouting reports of each other. So tell me, how's Lamont? What's he up to?
Oh, he's doing real good. He's back at home chilling with my coach, Barry Hunter. They, you know, just watching the fight tonight and just, you know, laying back.
I'm sure your cell phone's going to be blowing up the minute you get off that set from those two.
Oh, I bet you it is.
Good job tonight, Anthony Peterson. Visit with Anthony a little later on in the night. Just missed with that right-handed Pryor.
If you're tall like Pryor, you want to stand on the outside, draw a line in the canvas, and pop out, snap out that jab, and make it impossible for the shorter man to come in. And if he does come in, greet him with a right hand before he gets to the distance where he can greet you.
Pryor up 3 rounds to 2, according to Teddy's scorecard. Right hand behind the jab.
I talked about what you have to do if you're Pryor, the tall man. If you're Williams, I would think it's pretty obvious that you use that jab to work your way in and bring your feet with you. Move your head so you get away from that right hand as you walk in. And you need more than one jab, Joe. When you're fighting a tall man, distance dictates how many jabs you need to close that gap. With a tall man like Pryor, you might need 2 or 3 to close the gap. See the one jab like that?
Yeah, it won't even reach.
Nah, you're going to fall short, and you're going to be in the range of the taller man.
Teddy will give us an example of that right hand when we return. Stay with us.
This is why Williams keeps eating right hands from Pryor. He keeps laying his head over here with the left hand down. Over here on this side, the right hand's going to land. What he should do, weave back and finish on this side. The right hand would be here, you'd be here, and you wouldn't get hit.
Easy science of the sweet science. Here's an example. Leaning to that right side, you get hit by the right hand. Round 7 here. Scheduled for 8 between Alphonso Williams, the Pittsburgh-based fighter, who's 32 years old, 10 wins in his career. He's had long layoffs against 8-0 Aaron Pryor Jr., the son of perhaps the best 140-pounder of all time. Andy Lee still to come tonight, who everybody is so high on. He'll be taking on Brian Vera from Contenders Season 3 in our main event. Here in southeastern Connecticut, where I think everybody was stunned this afternoon to see their UConn Huskies go down to San Diego in the NCAA tournament. That was the big buzz as the fans were filtering in to this Mohegan Sun Arena. Going to mess up a few office pools there, Teddy, huh?
I would think so. I think a lot of them went down, and almost many went down last night when Duke was in danger against Belmont. Yes.
Will we have that kind of an upset in our main event tonight with Vera and Lee? Most are expecting a sensational night from Andy Lee, but Brian Vera, 15-1, tough-nosed guy. There's a good left hand from Alphonso Williams that sends Pryor back again. Remember, he was hurt in the first round. Almost looked like the ropes just held him up. And now Williams can sense it, and Pryor is just trying to hang on with that string bean body of his.
Pryor gave up his height and got a little cocky, fighting in too close, and that's why he's in trouble now.
It started with a left hand, and it keeps raining in from Williams.
We were talking about earlier, if you're a taller man, you need to set your feet when you punch, not fall in. Pryor's paying a real stiff price right now for falling in.
Spaghetti legs for Aaron Pryor Jr. Can he hang on? 45 seconds to go in this 7th round.
Well, he can hang on if Williams does what he did a minute ago, gets inside and doesn't punch, throws one at a time, and allows Pryor to tie him up.
He would be so well served to go to the body right now, would Williams.
He'd be well served just to move his darn hand.
Yeah, just go after it. There's another left hand up top.
Right now, Williams throwing one at a time, but 2, 3, 4 are in order.
Just swarm him. Bring the attack and see if it happens. Alphonso Williams, golden opportunity here. Closing moments around 7.
Williams has allowed him to survive.
Jab snaps his head back. 1 to go.
Get hurt. Look, this is good distance for the taller man, but when you get in here, it's good for the shorter man. And watch right now, Pryor in too close, and his hands are down, the right hand down to the left hook connects after the right hand, and then Williams has exactly what he wants, a target and a hurt man.
Okay. 8th and final round. We told you a night of unbeatens, but will Aaron Pryor still be that way after this? Alphonso Williams has hurt him twice. Let's look at the average punches landed in the first 6 rounds compared to the last round when Williams had his high total of the fight, landing 29 connects. Among those 29, 18 headshots landed in that 7th round. Teddy Atlas's scorecard through 7.
I just realized why Williams
66.
is turning southpaw every once in a while. Because he doesn't eat as many right hands when he turns southpaw.
So the defensive flaw is solved by switching lefty.
Yeah, he just knows instinctively that if I turn southpaw, I know I haven't gotten a headache. Right. I haven't gotten hit with right hands. Nobody's really told him that you shouldn't lay your head on the right, so on his own, he said, hey, let me become a lefty, and at least I'm getting hit with rights.
Teddy's scorecard had that 7th round, a 10-8 round, which I agree with wholeheartedly, which now would make this the defining and deciding round of this fight, according to your scorecard. It's been an interesting fight in terms of the scoring. There's a right hand from Pryor Jr.
Unfortunately, in this sport, scoring is quite often too interesting too many times when it shouldn't be interesting.
Left hook now from Pryor, and now it's Williams who is hurt.
And it's always for a reason you get caught. It's not just by luck. It's because you break one of the mandates. You break one of the rules fundamentally. And Williams stepped back with hands down and ate that left hook. You never want to step back in front of a man with your hands down.
Manny Stewart was all over Aaron Pryor Jr. after that 7th round. Really trying to light a fire underneath him to come out and make it happen in this 8th round. He has 50 more seconds to do that.
And again, the advantage, as we said early, would probably belong to Williams in these rounds because he's been 10 rounds. Pryor is in uncharted territory. First time he's ever been past 6. And definitely you could see the confidence is there for Williams much more than it is there for Pryor.
Blood coming from the nose and mouth of Pryor now. And another stinging jab from Williams that snaps his head back. Straight back goes Williams. Pryor came with the right hand.
And that's not what you want to see, whether it's the end of the fight or the beginning. The shorter man inside, and he's not punching.
Both men were hurt. A seesaw ending between the 7th and 8th rounds. Entertaining stuff. Which way will it go? Is Aaron Pryor Jr. still going to be unbeaten? We'll find out. And Alphonso Williams anxious to hear the decision. It was an entertaining opening bout here on Friday Night Fights as we take a look back. And in that opening round, Pryor hurt by a right hand.
Williams was able to get inside. And when you get inside with a taller man, you can find them. But then Pryor started finding Williams, the shorter man, at the right range, especially with that right hand.
He did so in the middle rounds 2, 3, and 4. Then in the 7th round, Pryor Jr. hurt again. He was in close. Oh, the left hook, a little too close, Teddy, into that danger zone.
Well, you better fight tall if you're tall and not fight short. Otherwise, you might be on the ground. And Pryor came very close to visiting the canvas.
Good crowd came out. They were entertained by that. The Just for Men punch track fight recap. The headshots, Pryor landing 167 to Williams 61. Teddy Atlas's scorecard goes this way. Pryor wins the last round, and that was the difference according to Teddy, 76-75. Let's hear what the judges say, and to do that, we send it up to the ring to generous Joe Antonacci.
Boxing fans, after 8 rounds of action, we go to the judges' scorecards. Judge John McKay scores the bout 76-75. Judge Glenn Feldman scores the bout 77-74. And Judge Frank Lombardi sees the bout 79-73. All for your winner by unanimous decision. From Cincinnati, Ohio, Aaron Pryor.
79-73. I understand who won, and I agree with it, but 79-73, maybe he got hit with a left hook.
Well, 79-73 is very hard to swallow because there were 2 rounds where Aaron Pryor was clearly hurt. And at 79, you're saying he only received a 9 in 1 round.
Well, you're saying that maybe you weren't in this arena watching the fight. Maybe your body was here, but your mind was somewhere else.
The bottom line is that Aaron Pryor does advance himself to 9-0, but boy, it was not easy at all. The first of our undefeateds.